All right. Welcome. Today, me and Sohail are talking about Intro to Frida. So, if you don't know what it is, then you're gonna learn about it. Here you go. Also, public service announcement. I kind of made a demo for this. I don't think it works actually. So
It does.
you may have just downloaded 20 gigs of nothing.
No, I'm pretty sure
It should work.
it should.
It should work.
It should.
In the research channel in the Discord, I put a Google Drive link to it. There is an OBF file. There is an ISO file. If you can get it working, good. If not, don't stress it. Just gonna go through the demo. You can pay
Are
attention.
you downloading it?
He tried it. Yeah. All right. Otherwise, we'll go through. So if you don't know me, I'm Chase. I'm kind of like the head of research from Long Island. About a second and a half year. I try to do cool stuff. Do a little rock climbing, volleyball. Doing my best. And I'll be co-oping at MITRE. So pretty big. That's my dog. That's Alex. He's a kiss. He's Devin. Pretty cool guys.
That's not just. There's no way.
There's no way. I don't believe it. Yeah, it was like my mom's like, fuck.
Dude, now I gotta move. Oh, never mind. Yeah. So I'm Sohail. I'm from Webster. I do red team, CPTC, and I guess I do ops. But Ronan's just kind of carrying me on that. And then I'm a second year, and then I play soccer and fence. Yeah. So we're gonna be talking about what is Frida, why we use Frida, how to use Frida, and then other tools that you would use with Frida to do mobile hacking. And then we're going to do a little demo with Frida Labs. Frida Labs is basically just a repo of Android files, like Android applications, which you can just test, and they return a flag once you get it right. It's kind of like a CTF.
So let's go over the basics of what is Frida and what isn't. So Frida, as according to the website, dynamic code instrumentation toolkit. So basically it allows you to manipulate applications, processes, and things of that sort. It's free and open source. Sherrod doing his little pull request, I know that. It's a general reversing tool. It's actually pretty well documented. It's a little complex, but it's all there if you can figure out how to use it. And it's really cool. What Frida isn't is simple. There's a bit of a learning curve, but that's what today's about, getting you into it. But it isn't impossible. So it's a learning process. You're gonna do it. And that is if you're ever searching up Frida and you get Frida Cal from your high school Spanish class, if you've ever taken that, if you just look up Frida, this is the first result. What? You actually added that? Yeah. All right.
So Frida has a lot more than just what we're going to be talking about today. Frida has Objective-C binding, which basically lets you decompile, or not decompile, but it lets you intercept and hook functions for Objective-C. We're going to be talking about Java today, just because a lot of Android apps are written in Java, and they will be for the near future. It also has Interceptor and Stalker. These two are mostly for binaries, and Interceptor again lets you hook functions, lets you intercept the function, see what's being passed in and what's the output is of the function. And then Stalker lets you trace the code almost like GDB, but it'll ask you whether or not you want to keep a certain instruction so you can change it real time while debugging the binary. Okay, yeah, so uses of Frida. So again, a lot of mobile application testing, you'll always use Frida just because it's kind of goated. There's a lot of process manipulation you can do with it, whether that's on Linux, Windows, OpenBSD, FreeBSD. It's super good. It's compiled to everything. It's just nice. And then it's kind of it's super helpful for fuzzing as well, just because it allows you to change the values when you're fuzzing. Fuzzing is basically just a vulnerability research tool which just changes values almost randomly, and it just lets you find vulnerabilities given that there's a buffer overflow or something like that. And it's also super helpful with tracing with the use of Frida Stalker.
So onto some of the other tools that you'll commonly see when using Frida, hence the 30 gig VMware file I provided you guys. You have Android Studio. This is basically an Android app development suite, which in our case allows us to emulate Android devices locally on your computer instead of having to deal with an actual device, having that rooted and everything. Next up, we got JADX, whatever. It's just used for static analysis of APK files, which are the Android application files. You can see them on APK Pure.
Yeah.
On that website, you can download the application files for any app on Android. Next up, we have APK Tool, which is used to decode resources within these APK files. APK files are archive files, so they actually just contain, it's like a zip file. It actually just contains a bunch of other files that the app needs to run. A lot of like XML files, your Java, Kotlin, or even like C if you use native stuff like that. And we have ADB, which is Android Debug Bridge, which basically when you're emulating it or when you plug in the phone in your computer, allows you to connect to the Android device within your terminal and actually get like a shell on the phone. And to cover how to use Frida, we're using we'll be using the JavaScript API. This is the general like idea for mobile security. So you have a mobile app that you want to test, part of the CTF, maybe at your job. You first need to install Frida Server, which is how Frida is going to communicate from your computer to the phone. You have to install that and have it running. You're going to look through the application. You're going to find like, hey, there's this function that looks like pretty integral to the main process. Let's say I want to change the implementation of this and change its functionality and make it do what you want to do. That's the dynamic instrumentation, basically changing it while it's running. And you just win. So you basically have full control of the application.
Yeah, so going over that, but a little bit more in depth. So the first part is going to be to acquire the binary. There's a couple ways you can do this. The first one is you can pull it from the phone directly, just kind of yoink it with ADB. Or you can download it from a website like APK Pure. Be careful not to download APKs from goofy websites because usually they have a bunch of malware packed in with them. So you want to make sure that you're downloading it from like legitimate sites or well-known sites. You know, when you acquire the binary, it's gonna look like that, and then you want to decompile the binary with JetX. JetX is a tool that just decompiles the binary. Most of the times, it does a really good job, and it takes you back directly to the Java source code. It looks something like this. That's just straight up Java. I mean, obviously the class functions and function names are different because it can't get those back. But a lot of what the code is, it's still just there, so you can just read it. And then you have to locate functions of interest. That's just basically reading through the source code, trying to figure out what's cool. How do I get past something? Oh, if there's a login page, is there a password hard-coded? Is there something where it checks the password? Can I just get that API and then just send random things to it and stuff like that? And then you want to hook the function with Frida. So JetX actually has a really useful way to do this. There should be a keybind. I think it's F for Frida. But if you just hover over a function, click F, you should be able to copy a Frida snippet. A Frida snippet usually looks like this. The Java.perform, you need that to be there just for the Java to run, because you're technically just running Java code to try to hook the function. You have to, obviously, I just redacted this because this is a different test I was doing. But right now, all this does right here is when this function is called, the function I in this class, it will just log what is being passed into it, what the result is after it calls this function, and then it'll just return that result. So I'm not actually changing anything of what it returns or what it does to the function. I'm just kind of seeing what's being passed in and what's being passed out, because that tells you a lot about what the function is trying to do. Yeah, and then after that, you just kind of test it and keep repeating until you find the function that's cool or that has some vulnerable aspect to it.
All right, and next up, for the basics of what Frida Labs is. It's this just open source mobile security, kind of like CTF style introduction to using Frida, and that's actually what we'll be using for our demo. It's the GitHub link for Frida Labs is there, or you can just look at Frida Labs, probably find it, and the GitHub for Frida as well as it's open source. I'm guessing that none of y'all got the demo working. My bad. Um, but yeah, we're gonna do the instructions for you guys would have been to download it, or you don't have to download it. It's just that when you have to install Android Studio, JADX, ADB all on your local host, it's kind of like 20 gigs at least, and it's kind of tough for these rooms routers, these access points. So and it's always slow. That's why downloading the demos is always so slow. But you can just follow along with us, and I'll take you through right now. All right, so this is my VMware instance. This is what you guys should have received. This is the VMware instance. So hopefully this won't be terribly slow. So what we have right now is a little bit of instructions here so we can actually get things open. So first we have to open up JADX. JADX, I think it has a command line usage, but that's kind of not good. So we're going to use the GUI version, which is a lot easier to work with. So this is a basic. It's just kind of like you're just looking at files, man. So I have already the JADX configuration that I was using before. I didn't do anything. I just opened it up. So if you open it up, you get the full overview of what the app is doing. We'll look into that a little more once we get the app running. But we have to now get Android Studio working. So all these apps just take over your. They run in the foreground, so they'll take over your terminal process. Oh, I fumbled it.
Bro was not prepared. Unfortunate.
Yeah. Luke just wanted to be there with me.
Yeah.
He wanted to be named it. So when you open up Android Studio, first you have to go to File Open. In the top little hamburger menu, you go that. You actually go to Profile or Debug APK. It'll then open up the APK in this instance here. By default, it actually usually comes with the 3A at the latest API for Android. And in here, you have a little arrow to start the emulator, and you actually have it same kind of how it is in JADX. JADX is just a lot nicer for viewing the APK file. But for the Frida snippets. Yeah, also for the Frida snippets, which are integral. The Frida server installation that was already on this is for ARM phones. So you actually have to re-download the Frida server for the x86 if you're following along. You can just go on to Frida's GitHub if you want to. I've already pulled it, so sorry. So if you actually want to start the emulator and start the device, you can go in Android Studio, click the little run button, which just runs the application. It'll start up the emulator at the same time. It's going to take a little bit too, so we're going to let that run. It'll say connecting the emulator. It'll pull up a little phone screen, and it'll be really cool. And boom. So this is actually the app right here. Enter the number.
Yep.
And it'll crash on you too sometimes. So it's actually still running. So it's back now. Usually if you just swipe up, it's kind of difficult sometimes to use the phone, especially in a VM right now. So locally is usually the best deal for this. Or just have a phone, but like $200 entry device if you want to actually be doing stuff. So now we get to use ADB. So if we use ADB, we can actually just scan all of the devices that are possible. As you see, we have the emulator listed here. It is a device. That is true. And now, actually, we have to install Frida server onto it. So once you download it locally, you have to actually put Frida server onto the device. So this command right here, is not working because I'm not in the right directory, because I put it in my downloads folder, and it has to be capital. Boom. Yeah. So we have our files. Boom. Pushing it over. The reason we put it into data local temp is that as your temp directory on your normal like Linux-based operating system is that everyone has access to anything in the temp directory. So it'll be like 777 for your permissions. So next, we use ADB shell, and this allows us to get that shell into it. We check we are in it, we are shell, and just simple privesc su and your root, and now you can deal with you can do normal stuff. First, I have to change the permissions of the Frida server so we can run it. This command will just run it all. We'll chmod it, changing the permissions and allowing us to run it. So I think that is now running in the background. I don't think it outputs anything normally. Yeah, so the app is basically this enter the number kind of thing. So it has a little text box. It has this prompt and a submit button. So clearly it's asking for a number. We imagine that the flag right now, without doing any static analysis, is probably behind this. So if I type 123 and submit, let me try to make this larger. If we do 123 and submit, then we click the button, and it's like, nope, try again in the bottom. Kind of hard to see, but it doesn't allow us to get through because if we, yeah.
Here, I got it. Let me see.
What's the command again?
The command for it's chmod 777 and that data local temp.
755
Or
or
777.
777. They're all fine. Yeah.
It still gives you the right permissions.
Yep.
And then next we can look into JADEX. So there's a lot of bloat in Android files. Looking at this for the first time, you're kind of just like, what is all of this stuff? If you've never looked at an Android app, this is like kind of overwhelming. Some important things where you should be looking is in the resources and in the source code, the COM, and that AD2001.Frida 0x1. That is like the main code base for the Android app. That's where the actual code is, and everything else is just supporting packages that an Android developer will have to import in. So if we go to main activity, which is just our main function for the Android app, we can look through this. Do you want to look at this? Or
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I got you.
I'll be yapping a lot.
Yeah, that's fine. So basically, all you see here is that it's setting up buttons in the text view. We also see that there is a listener for the button to get unclicked, and there's right here an integer get I that just calls the function get random, which just gets a random integer, which is great. But in order to get the flag, clearly there's nothing in here that really gives us the flag, but it does call this function check. It passes in the integer, the random integer, and then the integer that we pass in once we click the button. So when you go to the check function, it basically tells you that, oh, you guessed it right. But it checks that the function that for the random integer times 2 plus 4 is what you passed in. There's not really, like, you can go ahead and guess millions of times, but it's gonna kind of waste your time. So realistically, how are we gonna change that I value to then be whatever we want it to be so that we can get the flag? The rest of it just goes through, checks if it is right, then gives you the flag, which is encoded right here. Honestly, you could probably just undo this manually and just write a Python script to do that. But, we're trying to learn Frida, so let's do that. Yeah, so now we would just need a text editor, to write some Frida or Vim. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
So if you want to just keep yapping.
Yeah. So when we are using Frida from our terminal, we need to specify not only the file that we're now creating, which is just going to be a JavaScript file. We need to specify the device that we're going to be connecting to, as well as the process of the app that we're trying to mess with. So right now, so I was writing the java.perform, allowing us to just use it. This is the copy as Frida snippet, which allows us to simply just copy the function, and it'll automatically give us what it would look like in Frida when we're doing it here. Oh, look at that. So as you see, it has the let main activity equals java.use. Specifying the main activity will allow us to access the functions within it and the classes. The java.use that con.ad2001.frida.aux1, that is the signature of the program of the APK. Getting the get random implementation, which allows us to change it. And in here, we log that it's been called. We get the result, and as well we log whatever it outputs. And right here is when we actually start changing it. So right now we're setting the result equal to 1, which, as you know, it goes through that whole entire situation. But if the output is 1, that's what it's going to pass into that check function. So you will always know what number it's trying to check for. So it'll be doing that 1 plus times 2 plus 4. And that's the number it's going to be checking against. So we can always know what that random number is going to be because we basically are overriding it. So now you have to save it to your directory. You got bro.js. There's some ways that you can deal with Frida and running your JavaScript on the app. You can you can find the process ID, or you can restart Frida. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so when you're using Frida, you can either specify the file to run as you're running the process, or you can run it on startup. A lot of the times that onCreate function, which is within that main activity, is only going to run when it initially starts, hence onCreate. So you have to be looking for it, and you have to start your Frida as it starts so that you can actually hook it. Because it's only when that function is called that Frida's like, oh, this function is getting called. Let me just yoink it real quick.
So right now, I'm just trying to run Frida PS. It lists all the processes running on the phone. The reason why I'm trying to do that is because Frida needs to know which process to inject the JavaScript that I just wrote, and trying to figure out what the app is called.
Sohail.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Alright, my bad. So you need TACU because it tells it that it's a USB device. In this case, it's not connected through USB, but Frida doesn't know that. And let's keep it that way.
Go back to off.
Is it off? Is that what it's
It
called?
should just be. There's a weird way you gotta specify it, but as you see, the PID is 4634. So now we specify Frida. TAC-L loads our JavaScript file, run.js, and TAC-P specifies the process ID running on the device, which is 4634, and then you specify TAC-U for the USB device. You should be able to run it, and we have some errors right now. Oh, line 1.
You also like an error? Mine just errors out.
Yeah.
My JavaScript says nah.
Where is the text editor?
Oh, you need to do the.
Is it in equals?
No, there's another parentheses you have to have.
Here?
Yeah, it's really long.
Yeah,
That's why I had it. Yeah. So JavaScript specifically can be kind of finicky. So right now the problem is we're missing a set of parentheses, and it's java.perform open parentheses, open close, and then you can do the whole whatever Java you need to run, and at the end it'll have that close parentheses.
Yeah, but it is equal to arrow.
Yeah, and it is equal to arrow. So this is just stuff that like you just gotta know. You look it up. It's on the doc somewhere. And so we resave the file. We go to try to run it again. You can just cancel out of Frida. You have to exit because you will be inside. You just Control D. Yeah, or just type exit.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, not a function. You have to specify the exact get_random.
That is right, bro.
Mhm.
Yeah. I guarantee you. There's no way. I'm gonna kill you.
get underscore random int.
What is main activity? Oh, yeah, this one.
Oh, there's no semicolon at the end. No, yeah, there. None.
Yeah. Yeah. Just finicky stuff. Yeah. Frida will usually automatically rerun it when you change the file.
What?
It's at 10. Your bracket is.
Huh?
Yay, my computer fried. Me and Sohail have actually gotten it to work. So if you care, we'll present on that. Just a little lag. I have it working.
Both ways on my phone.
I have it in the emulator. So yeah, right here we have. All right, so right here on the left we have the swag.javascript. As you can see, it's actually properly written. It does basically what we had. That would have performed, hooked it, changes the result to 1. So if we run this command, Frida tac L, swag.js tac F, the com.802001.frida 0x1 tac U, this will actually start up the process. So we inject into it right off of the bat. So we can hook into that onCreate function. So you run that. It loads for a second, and as you can see here, main activity.getRandom was actually called because getRandom started in that onCreate function. And as you can see, the random number that it generated was 15. But as we know, we changed that result to 1. So 1 times 2 plus 4. Anyone from the crowd know? 6? Oh, that's a math minor right there. I know. So we put in 6. We get the flag. That was what was supposed to happen. So. Yeah, you can.
Right now?
Do you want me to send you?
Okay. Yeah, get you one. Yeah. That one take it.
On the back.
I gotta see the link.
No, I got it.
You got the Zoom link?
I've got everything. Oh,
I need
there's
to Zoom link.
Man, can't you just like fucking?
Thank you. Yes, but also no.
For the stream.
So join us. You streamed before.
Talk about this later.
Right. So the other way Sohail is about to do this is using his own Android phone. So like using emulated phone with Frida, a real USB device works normally. And
Where's all of them?
I would not use the Zoom client.
Oh my god.
Where's all of this?
Desktop.
No.
Desktop one.
Oh
my god.
This is the same thing.
No.
This is the same thing. Sure.
Yes.
It's
Mine is from that. I mean, you're off. But not up and up. No, you're 100% off. Like, you're just at the bottom. Yeah,
This is the whole desktop. Yeah, that's fine.
Well, we separated by $54. Calm down. Wait, no, you're not closed. No, I'm not.
So the other way to do it is you hook check and you just change the input before you call the function itself. You just change the input to be the same mathematical thing they're doing. In our case, that says times 2 plus 4. So given that like Yeah.
I want to go.
Where'd it go, man? That's fine. I'll do it real quick.
So you see here, Sohail specified, actually you can't see because the caption ran away. So Sohail specified the process ID in the function. So you just get that with Frida PS.
Is it not?
Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So you specify TACL, load it with the PID. TACU, same thing for the emulated or USB device. It attaches. It's connected to his phone now. Did it hook?
Yeah, it did. It hooks.
Or you didn't log anything?
That's fine. So whatever number I type in doesn't really matter. It's irrelevant because I changed the number when the check function is called. So when you submit, it should change the function itself, and then it logs what initially the random number was 77, and my number was 1, and then I changed it to be what the number should be, and then I call a proper function, and that returns the hook.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And that's how you do it. Frida Labs has a lot of other challenges like this, increasingly more difficult. If you're interested, definitely check it out. But otherwise, thank you. That's been today's research. Yeah. Sorry about that.